feel like doing the beard and the mustache might have been a little much given the like purpose of this video, but also gender is a farce, and goddamn, I am nothing but a player in this game. Hi, my name is Phoenix. I started posting videos on TikTok because all of my friends were long distance, and this was a way to be able to cosplay with them without having to fly out and go to different conventions, because I could not afford to do it, and I still can't afford to do it. So the fact that like people looked at my content and went, heh, nice, is so weird and so humbling to me. So first of all, thank you. If you are one of the people who has been following my TikTok, welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope that you are going to enjoy your stay here. I'm very excited. I have a lot of things planned for the future, and I hope that you will stick around for that. Second of all, if you are one of the people that has requested a Isle makeup look, thank you for your patience. I know that it has taken me a very long time to do it, and I am unfortunately having to retire him for a little bit, just for me to like figure out his storyline and figure out some stuff going on in my personal life and process some emotions tied to that character. I figured what a better send-off for my sweet seal boy than making him my inaugural YouTube video. So for people who have no idea what I'm talking about, I cosplay a character on TikTok named Isle Vitulina. He's a Selkie, which is a Celtic mythological creature that is a seal who can take off their skin to transform traditionally into a woman, although we do know that male Selkies exist because they talk about it all the time. A lot of the Selkie mythology revolves around Selkies will come up onto the beach to take off their seal skins, take their human forms, go party, have a good time. Human comes across, finds one of the seal skin, either accidentally or on purpose, will take it. The Selkie now cannot transform back into their seal form, and so has to go back to the human that took their fur and marry them and live as a human. And depending on what story you're reading, this can either end really well or this can end really badly. You know, as a trans person, I think stories revolving around being trapped in a body that is not yours and wanting to return to a life and a environment that you feel more comfortable in is a very interesting and very relatable. Cosplay TikTok used to do a thing a million years ago. It's kind of died off now, unfortunately. I think everyone has kind of had like mental health and real world stuff getting in the way. They were called TikTok OC tags. It's exactly what it sounds like on the tin. You would do a cosplay of an original character of yours, and you would join a hashtag that there were a bunch of other people and creators joining, and you would like interact with these other characters, and you would write storylines together. When a creator that I really liked and admired was talking about, she was making a pirate tag on TikTok, I was like, hey, I will join in with my like silly little Selkie character that I just came up with. I hope that this is okay. Now I'm like really good friends with that creator, and she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. I've also like met a lot of my really good friends through cosplay tags on TikTok, and so I'm really grateful for, you know, TikTok as an app has its issues, but like it gave me a bunch of my really good friends, so I'm pretty grateful for it actually. So thanks for your patience. I hope that you're still interested in the content. I want to preface this and just make it very clear that I don't feel comfortable calling this a tutorial. I will very gladly walk you through the steps of how I do the makeup for him. But Isle is a very like trust the process sort of makeup look. And I don't have it quite down pat yet. I like playing around with makeup. I think it's fun. I think I'm okay at it, but I hesitate to call myself like a makeup person or anything like that. I don't know. It's not, please don't take this as a tutorial. it makes So whenever I start doing like cosplay makeup, I always like do my face prep first. I personally like putting my wig cap on before I start doing any of the makeup stuff, just because I always get paranoid that if I put the wig cap on after, it'll mess up all of my hard work, and plus like my hair gets in the way. It just wants to be in my face all the time, so I like having it out of my face. I don't know. I feel like it just kills two birds with one stone. If I put it up in the wig cap before I start doing my makeup, I'm going to sneeze. Come on. Come on. Oh, you bastard. Okay, no, I'm not. All right, I'm good. So when I start doing like the actual makeup, I start by doing color corrector underneath my eyes and over my eyelids, and I blend that out with just my fingers. Then on top of that, I'll do concealer, and I'll put that in the same area and then kind of over my T-zone, and I blend that out with my foundation brush. And then after that, I'll do foundation, and I put that just all over my face with the foundation brush. For this look specifically, try to focus it on the middle of my face. The edges I'm not super concerned about, just because that's where like the seal skin is going, but the middle of the face is what I want to look as human, quote unquote, as possible. I am not going to recommend any sort of products to other people because I'm not qualified enough to be able to do that. I'm so sorry. I just use drugstore stuff and it works fine for me. And then after I get like the base set, I take my contour palette and what do I do? Go in like the inner corner of my eye. What I'm trying to do is to kind of deepen my eye socket and make my eyebrow ridge look a little bit heavier, to try to make my face look a little bit more masculine. I don't know whether this works, but that's what I do. And then after that, I'll take that neutrals palette that I was talking about before, and I'll kind of go on the outer corner of my eyes, focusing on like the corner and like bringing it up towards my eyebrow, and then kind of in towards my towards the crease of my lid. I'm essentially just using this to try to like contour my face, just because it's fun and I like how it looks. I do gold shimmery metallic across the like entirety of my eyelid, just for like some fun fantasy vibes. Once the like human makeup is set, the rest of the steps kind of go in whatever order that they really want to. For this particular video, I did the eyebrows first for whatever reason. I usually save them until after I've done the face paint, but I did them first today. So I just take black matte eyeshadow and an angled brush, and I just go in trying to make them look very thick and very heavy and very dark. I'm making a like triangle shape pointing down towards my nose, and I'm trying to keep the corners and the ends as like sharp and angular as possible. There's not really a good reason for it other than like when I was doing Femme Isle, I made it very like rounded and kind of bubbly shaped, and so when I started doing Mask Isle, I liked how it looked when it was sharper and more angular, so I just have stuck with doing it like that instead. This is when I start going into like the actual face paint. I am so sure that there are just like straight up gray face paints. Homestuck cosplayers were a thing. I was one of them. I know that there's gray face paint out in the world. When I started doing this makeup look, I just had Black Snazaroo and Maron Paradise White, so I just mixed them together, and that's what I have been doing ever since, because you know, I don't have a good excuse for this. These are both water activated paints, and so what I do is I just take a like flat foundation brush and I swirl it around in the white first, and then I'll swirl it around in the black, and I'll kind of go back and forth until I get like a mid-tone gray that I'm happy with, and then I start applying it, starting usually with my like T-zone and my forehead area. Every time that I do this makeup, like clockwork, I get to this stage and I just forget. I don't know how to do it anymore. I like all memory of it evaporates from my brain, and I have to like frantically go through my phone and find a reference picture. And so I pull up a reference picture and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what the makeup looks like. Like I've done this. We have done this before, sir. What are you talking about? For me, because I'm not Made You Look and I'm not like a professional, it's very easy to like fuck up the layers if I'm not careful about how I'm applying water-based paint. So what I do with this is I work in very small sections, and I take a dry beauty blender, like bone dry, like Sahara dry, like has not touched a drop of water in 72 years, like dry as all hell, dry beauty blender. I've found that the dry beauty blender works better to spread out the color without absorbing the water and lifting it and making like weird patchy marks. I don't want to say that this doesn't matter, because it does, but also like This is just the base coat, so I'm not super concerned with getting like an even coverage. Like if I'm just trying to tinge my skin gray. You can take the boy out of Homestuck, but you can't take the Homestuck out of the boy. Alright, anyway. Very specifically, I tend to focus the gray up the bridge of my nose, over my entire forehead, down my cheekbone, down my jaw, kind of fading out a little bit as we get to like here. I'm mainly focusing on the corner of the jaw, and then up my chin a bit, and then obviously like under my neck, and then down to my collarbone as well. When I do this makeup, like for realsies, like when I wore this to the Renaissance Fair a couple weeks ago, I have a like bodysuit that I made that actually like does the neck bit for me, so I don't have to go like all the way down to my collarbone. I'm not putting it on for this tutorial because 1, I don't want to, and B, it needs some repairs. So I'm not gonna damage it even further by putting it on for a video for 2 seconds and then taking it off. I'm sorry. Once I'm happy with the base coverage of the paint, that's when I go in with an eyeshadow palette, a gray tone eyeshadow palette, and I start actually sealing it in and solidifying the color. Mid-tone gray just to kind of like do the base. Then I'll take a lighter gray from that palette and I'll use that to highlight. So I put that on the bridge of my nose and up into the middle of my forehead and then down my cheekbones as well. I'll take a matte black eyeshadow and I'll mix that with the mid-tone gray that I was using before, and I'll use that to contour. So I'll put that in like the hollows of my cheeks, and I kind of like bring that down to like the midpoint of my cheek and then down towards my jaw to create this like sharp angled look. And I obviously put that underneath my jaw, and then I put it in like the temple over here, and then I'll use it to contour my nose as well. And when I'm contouring my nose, I like, again, I go back up into the eyebrow shape. I also jump around a lot when I'm doing the makeup. Again, there's no like correct order to do all of this stuff in. It's whatever suits my fancy at the time. And apparently when I was doing the makeup this time around, I was like, okay, I'm going to do the nose a little bit earlier than I usually do it, and I'm also going to go back into the eyes, and I'm gonna like fuss around with those for a little bit more. I just took black matte eyeshadow and I went under my nose and kind of outlined my nostrils and like went down my cupid's bow a little bit to make it look like an animal nose. And then I took the same matte black eyeshadow and I went into like the corner of my eyes. I was trying mainly to focus on like the waterline and just make it look like my lash line was a little bit deeper and fuller. Also, we've talked about Homestuck a concerning amount in this video. I used to be a Roxy Lalonde cosplayer back in the day, and so I got into the habit of doing like the little corner triangle in the inner corner of my eye, and so I've kept doing that for Isle, and so I do that over here as well. I don't have a good reason, I don't have a good explanation for it, I just like how it looks. So, the dots. Do you remember earlier on in the video I was talking about this is a makeup look that like I still haven't gotten down quite pat yet? The dots. The dots, I forget how to do the dots every single time. I start with the same white face paint that I was using before, and I will take a flat brush of some kind. In this case, I started with the flat foundation brush, and I figured out pretty quickly that it wasn't working, but this is just kind of to map out like where the dots are going. Like the big dots go in like the middle of my forehead and like curve of my cheekbone, like the middle of my chin and like the corner of my jaw, and then like down my collarbone and down my neck. And from there, I'll just take progressively smaller and smaller brushes, and I will define those spots and add smaller dots in between to kind of soften out the like harsh edges that I've got going on. I'm trying to keep the pattern as random and as organic as possible. This particular part is what changes every single time just because of the nature of the makeup look. I've never gotten the dots to look the same twice, and that's just something that I have to learn how to be okay with, which is a challenge for me, but it's fine. Once I've got the bigger white dots in place, then I'll switch back over to the black and I'll start doing the same thing. It is loosely based off of a Harbor Seal, but at this point I am just making things up because I think it looks nice, and that's fine. That is gonna be fine. That we got it. We're good. You know? I think I went over the black dots a couple more times just to kind of squidge out the shapes and make them look a little bit more natural versus like they looked just like circular dots and that wasn't going to fly with me, so I made them look a little bit more like this particular step of the makeup process is very like go back and forth and kind of like zhuzh it up as I feel is necessary. Once the big dots are in place, I'll take a like small eyeliner brush and I'll go back in, starting again with the white, making little dots in between the bigger spots and kind of softening out the edges, making it look a little bit more random, bringing it back up, especially over like underneath my eyes, over my cheek, the area where you would normally apply freckles to, kind of bridging the gap a little bit between the human and the seal. This is also where I start doing the dots along like the bridge of my nose. Again, I'm trying to think of them as like freckles, but for seals, seal freckles. I'll do the same thing in the black face paint, and this is very just like do a little bit here, take a step back, check how it looks, do a little bit more, so on and so forth. So once I'm happy with how everything is looking, I've like taken my step back and I'm looking at it as a whole, that's when I'll go in and I'll do like the last little touch-ups, which includes like filling in the nose, darkening the nose, putting on the black lipstick. I do black lipstick on like my upper lip only, and I try to elongate the corners of my mouth and fill in my, like I have a very sharp cupid's bow, and for Isle I wanted it to look more like rounded, and so like I'll fill in the cupid's bow and make my lip shape look more rounded. This is also where I put in my teeth. I have some nice sharp little fangs that I got from Spirit Halloween. Ordinarily, if I was like actually doing things in this costume, this is where I would put my ears on and then put my bodysuit on. But I am not doing things in this costume today, and I mentioned earlier that the bodysuit is in need of some repairs, and so I don't really feel like exacerbating that just for like 2 seconds of footage. So no bodysuit today. I can potentially make a video on it in the future, but not today, not until it gets fixed. After that's all set in place, I do like the very, very last minute touch-ups of just like fussing around with my face and making sure that everything is as I like it. And then this is where I put on my wig. And that's it. That is the whole makeup look. Again, I do just want to reiterate that while I am not personally comfortable calling this a tutorial, just because that for me has connotations of like I know what I'm doing and I don't know what I'm doing. If you yourself like how this makeup came out and you want to try it and make a character and like, you know, do whatever else, I would really like to see how that looks. If you end up doing it and you end up posting it anywhere on social media, if you could please tag me so I can see and I can fanboy over you and your amazing makeup skills. I am at friendandphoe on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, just about everywhere where I have social media at this point. I've changed my username like 7 times in the past 3-ish years, and I think this is the one that I'm sticking with. So friend and foe, please, if you do the makeup, I would like to see. Thank you very much for watching. If you have stuck around to this like little end bit, I will be back November 9th with the next video. We're gonna try to stick to a every 2 weeks upload schedule. We'll see how that goes, but I really want to make this happen, so I'm gonna do my best. Yeah, take care, stay safe, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye! This is where I start kind of getting, I didn't script any of this, I'm just purely going off of vibes, so that's why this is very chaotic and weird and gross, and I'm so sorry. Hi, my name is Dan. Oh, it's fine, everything's fine. When I was doing very femme Isle, I would, my hair is so fluffy. This is like some little lad shit if it's down over here. Isle is based off of a harbor seal, and if you look at harbor seals, they've got, what the fuck was that? Oh my god, it was, do you have games on your phone? Yeah, I do, and one of them just notified me that like, hey, you have a new reward available. The last bit of, I can't do that because I look so feminine when I do that. Ugh. How do I look like a fuckboy? It's not the look that I want to go for. But, you know, it's thread. I thought that there was a spider on my bed and it was a big guy, and I got very scared for a minute. It's thread. It is a ball of thread that has somehow wound up on my bed. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a spider. See, this is fun because I'm just making fun of myself, and I'm very good at that. So this works. I can do this.